Hello, welcome to Prime Movie Recaps. Today, I'll show you a 2001 comedy, romance, movie called Bubble Boy. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Jimmy Livingston is a youngster who was born without the ability to fight disease. Because even the tiniest germ can kill him, he must be kept in a sterile environment. He's infected with everything he touches. He'll have to live his entire life in a bubble of plastic if he wants to make it. His mother, Mrs. Livingston, has an overbearing attitude toward her son. Until the age of 4, he was not allowed to return to his parents' house. After he turns 4, she and Mr. Livingston take him back home in his bubble. There is a giant bubble in his room as well that he can move about in. His parents may touch him with the bubble's projecting hands. All of his toys have been cleaned and disinfected before being placed within the bubble to ensure that they are free of bacteria of any size. Jimmy has lived in that room ever since. Every bedtime story ends with the princess dying because Mrs. Livingston forbids him to leave the bubble. She claims they're the only ones ever made, so he is restricted to one television channel and a single magazine. She also trims his hair and gives him a tight hug with protrude arms. Due to her strong nationalist views, Mrs. Livingston only teaches Jimmy what she believes is rational and forces her views on him. Conversely, it is Jimmy who believes it to be true since he is naive, and hence follows suit. Despite his uniqueness, the Bubble Boy is well known across the city, which is a problem for him. Young people from the neighborhood tease Jimmy by wrapping themselves in plastic wrap and standing outside his house, which Mrs. Livingston constantly chases them away from. Jimmy will only eat food that his mother has prepared for him. The decontamination mechanism Mrs. Livingston constructed in a plastic tube, where she keeps his food, eliminates bacteria before Jimmy can access to it. Jimmy has reached the age of 16. This young man talks about his upbringing and how happy he is to receive an electric guitar instead of a car for his birthday. Before long, he was staring out his window, puzzled, when he saw Chloe, a newcomer his age, move into the neighborhood across the street. The boy has a soft spot for the girl, but he can do nothing to stop her. More importantly, he's never been in love or had a relationship with a woman. When Jimmy's mother notices his interest, she tells him the story of a kid who died after accidentally touching the whore next door. For the next few years, Jimmy maintains a tight check on Chloe via his windows, and she soon realizes he's watching her. This man claims to be aware of some problem with himself, but he cannot pinpoint what it is. When he has an erection in the middle of the night, he panics, and he beats himself with a bat, crying and calling his mother. He has no idea what he's doing. Before he can rest, Mrs. Livingston appears and forces him to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Chloe's well-known pals make fun of Jimmy, calling him the bubble guy. Regarding him, she appears to be on the defense. One day, she goes to the Livingstons and knocks on their door. Mr. Livingston opens it for her. She's fascinated by the network of plastic tubes that runs throughout the house like a nervous system. She follows the tube all the way to Jimmy's room because his mother is the first lady he has ever spoken to. Jimmy is shocked and worried. Chloe comes up to him and compliments him on his guitar as she demonstrates the instrument for him. Jimmy tries to teach her how to play it with her extended arms. He starts repeating the Pledge of Allegiance in the middle of it. Since then, they've made a point of spending time together every day. Mrs. Livingston dislikes their friendship but is powerless to stop it. After that, we see a montage of them having a good time. She gives him a guinea pig and a ball for his birthday, and for Halloween, she brings children into his room. On the night of her birthday, an inebriated Chloe sneaks into Jimmy's room through the windows. It appears as if she is attempting to enter the bubble because she claims she is unable to stay away from him any longer. But before she can go in, she passes out. Chloe's prom night is depicted in the scene. Jimmy is distraught when her sleazy boyfriend, Mark, shows up to take her up. Mark offers Jimmy a cigarette, but Jimmy doesn't know what it is. One night, Jimmy looks out his windows and sees Mark and Chloe kissing. In Jimmy's room the following day, Chloe displays her engagement ring to him. She had accepted Mark's marriage proposal. She's here to let Jimmy know that their wedding in Niagara Falls is this weekend. Jimmy is dissatisfied, but he keeps it to himself. It's also in his decontamination tube. She bought him something, but Jimmy doesn't seem to care. As a substitute, he gives her the guinea pig back and tells her to go with it. Chloe goes away with tears in her eyes. When Jimmy opens the present to find "I love you" on snow globe, he's startled and yells her name, and he decides to head to Niagara Falls to put an end to the wedding. He works long and hard to make a bubble shield that can be carried around with him. Then he sneaks out of the house without his parents' permission. The first time Jimmy goes running makes him so happy that he walks to the bus stop and asks for a bus ticket. He's that happy. Jimmy, on the other hand, has failed to bring any cash. A bus strikes him as he desperately attempts to cross the street in a state of despair. His bubble saves him as he falls to the ground. A number of people from the bus get out to give him a lift. It doesn't take Jimmy long to figure out that the others are part of a cult. When he calls this out, they shout at him and kick him off the bus. When the cult group reaches its destination, the leader declares a man inside a globe to be God's savior. The group understands Jimmy was their savior, and they set out to rescue him from the globe. Meanwhile, Jimmy encounters Slim, a biker. Jimmy informs him that his lifelong love is marrying someone else. Slim is impressed, so he tells him about his previous lover, Wildfire, whom he still adores. After that, he lends a hand to Jimmy, and the two of them set out for Niagara Falls. When Mrs. Livingston realizes Jimmy is missing from the house, she becomes worried because the police would only do it after 24 hours had passed since the missing person's disappearance. Mrs. Livingston and her husband set out to find him. As opposed to these two, Slim and Jimmy finally get to visit Las Vegas and relax for a while. Although they had a blast gambling, Jimmy now has only 2 days to prepare for the wedding. As a result, he leaves Slim at the club, gets on a scooter, and takes off. After a short distance, Jimmy comes upon his parents' car, who tries to prevent him from fleeing. Jimmy causes a mishap because he is in a rush. Thanks to his bubble, he's thrown into the path of a speeding train, and he has managed to escape only to find himself stuck in the middle of nowhere on a train with freak show performers. The freaks complain to Dr. Freak, their leader, that he imprisons them and uses them in his freak show. Dr. Freak, who's also a dwarf, will meet Jimmy inadvertently knocking the man to the ground with his bubble. He frees the other freaks. After there, he'll continue on to Niagara Falls, his next destination. In order to avoid the hassle of learning to drive again, the man visits a restaurant and asks for a ride. Their push bop is abused by a group of police officers. When Jimmy tells them he doesn't have any immunity, they assume Jimmy is infected. They depart the scene. Despite the chaos, Push Bop offers Jimmy a ride after the restaurant is set on fire. As an added bonus, he'll take him to see the Niagara Falls while he's there. To learn more about Jimmy's whereabouts, Mrs. Livingston approaches Dr. Freak, who informs her that Jimmy is leaving for Niagara Falls. She lashes out at Chloe, accusing her of being the reason Jimmy ran away. As she speaks with Dr. Freak outside, the freaks rob her car. While traveling, Push Bop and Jimmy come across a cow that has wandered into the center of the highway. Push Bop is furious because in his religion, cows are a sign of God, but Jimmy, on the advice of his mother, tells him that Push Bop's belief is false. Push Bop is enraged, and he decides to leave Jimmy. Once in New York, Jimmy begs an elderly guy named Pippi for a ride, which he gladly accepts. Even after Jimmy has fallen asleep, Pippi is still driving the car when Jimmy wakes up the next morning. He realizes Pippi is lifeless. The car crashes into a billboard. Jimmy walks into a grocery store and picks up the phone to call Chloe. Mark takes Jimmy's call and tells him to hang up since he is about to marry Chloe in an hour. To make matters worse, Jimmy calls his mother, asking her to come fetch him since he is now hopeless. When his parents arrive, he is helped into the car by both of them. As Mrs. Livingston makes her way to the bathroom, Mr. Livingston inquires of Jimmy how it feels to be outside for the very first time. A father-son relationship is one in which two people are deeply connected. According to Mr. Livingston, Jimmy should not give up easily. Jimmy runs to stop the wedding after hearing his comments. When Mrs. Livingston sees this, she immediately takes off after him in her car. The cult gang, meantime, has located Jimmy and has begun to pursue him. Slim shows along with his motorcycle gang to assist Jimmy. Slim catches the attention of Mrs. Livingston and Wildfire. It turns out they're all driving on a plane's runway. As the jet takes off, Jimmy boards just ahead of the pilot, who appears to be in his 80s. They fly to Niagara Falls, but something goes wrong. The plane crashes, causing Jimmy to tumble down the falls. His bubble saves him from certain death. He quickly exits the water and heads to the wedding. Chloe and Mark are taking wedding vows at the chapel when Jimmy walks in and declares his love for her. Because he realizes this is his last chance to persuade Chloe, he risks his life by ripping his bubble open to kiss her. However, he passes out shortly afterward. Mr. and Mrs. Livingston also arrives as Chloe tries to stir him up. When Mr. Livingston begs Mrs. Livingston to tell the truth to everyone about her son, she is grieving. Mrs. Livingston humiliatingly discloses that Jimmy is perfectly well. He suddenly snaps back to consciousness. It became out that she had been telling him lies to protect him from the perils of the world for the past several years. However, Jimmy forgives his mother for what she did in order to keep him safe. As the crowd roars in approval, he finally pulls Chloe into his arms. Let's fast forward a few of months now. Jimmy and Chloe are getting married. The wedding will be attended by everyone he's met along the journey. A throuple has formed consisting of Slim, Mr. Livingston, and Mrs. Livingston. At the film's conclusion, Jimmy and Chloe leave for their honeymoon in a car. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.